Imagine if gold suddenly stopped being mined or oil wells dried up overnight. That's the reality of land. What's here is all there will ever be. Now picture this. Land, in its essence, is a non-renewable resource, just like gold and oil. It's something we can't manufacture or produce more of. Its supply is finite, but the demand is ever increasing. This scarcity, coupled with increasing demand, has made land a valuable and sought-after asset. It's like having a piece of the moon, only more accessible and not as cold. The point is, investing in land is not just about owning a piece of earth, it's about owning a piece of the future. So the question is not if, but how we should invest in this finite resource. Let's get into the world of land investment. And just hit the like and subscribe button. In the realm of land investment, there are two main players, raw land and developed land. These two contenders, while both valuable in their own right, hold distinct characteristics that set them apart. First off, let's talk about raw land. This is land in its purest form, untouched and undeveloped. It's a blank canvas, free from structures, infrastructure, and often zoning restrictions. It's like a block of marble waiting to be sculpted by the hands of an artist. But here's the catch. The artist is you, the investor. You get to decide what the marble block turns into, be it a residential complex, a commercial hub, or even a farm. The freedom and potential for large returns are what make raw land so appealing. But remember, with great potential comes great risk. The lack of infrastructure means you may have to invest heavily before seeing any returns. Now let's switch gears and talk about developed land. This is land that's already been prepped for use. It comes with infrastructure, utilities, and often existing buildings. It's like a pre-furnished apartment, ready to be rented out or sold. The advantage here is that it's a safer bet. You can see what you're getting, and the returns are often more predictable. But like a pre-furnished apartment, the cost up front is typically higher, and the potential for massive returns is often lower. So, what's the verdict? Raw land or developed land? Well, that's like asking whether you should invest in stocks or bonds. The answer depends on your risk tolerance, your investment goals, and your expertise. An experienced developer might see a plot of raw land as an opportunity for a lucrative project, while a novice investor might prefer the predictability of developed land. As with any investment, both types of land come with their own risks and rewards. The key is understanding these and making an informed decision. Raw land may seem like the Wild West of land investment, but it's where the gold rush is. Now that's not to say you'll strike it rich overnight. This isn't a lottery ticket, but a strategic play in the game of wealth building. Raw land is, in essence, a blank canvas. It's untouched, unspoiled, and ripe with potential. This feature alone makes it an attractive option for investors. Unlike developed land, raw land comes with a lower purchase cost. That means you can get your foot in the door of the property market without having to break the bank. But here's where it really gets interesting. The potential for high returns on raw land is significant. Why, you ask? Well, consider this. As urban areas continue to grow and expand, the demand for land increases. And with land being a finite resource, its value naturally appreciates over time. So if you're playing the long game, raw land could be the ace up your sleeve. In addition to the potential for capital appreciation, raw land offers something else: flexibility. It's a chameleon of sorts, adaptable to a variety of uses. Want to lease it to farmers for agricultural use? You can do that. Thinking about selling it to developers down the line? That's an option too. Dreaming of building your own eco-friendly retreat? The world is your oyster. However, it's important to note that investing in raw land isn't a passive endeavor. It requires research, due diligence, and sometimes a little bit of grit. Zoning restrictions, environmental factors, and access issues are just a few of the considerations to keep in mind. While raw land holds great potential, it's not without its challenges. It's a game of patience and foresight. But for those willing to dig a little deeper, to see beyond the surface, raw land can be more than just a piece of earth. It can be a foundation for future wealth. Developed land, on the other hand, is the mature, reliable sibling in the land investment family. Imagine developed land as a fully grown tree, ready to bear fruit, as opposed to the sapling that raw land represents. It's mature, well-established, and primed for immediate use. Whether it's a commercial property, residential lot, or industrial site, Developed land comes with infrastructure in place: roads, utilities, sewage systems, and more. This ready-to-use nature of developed land makes it a stable and attractive investment option. It's like buying a house that's move-in ready versus one that needs a complete overhaul. With developed land, you skip the hassle and uncertainty of getting permits, clearing land, or installing utilities. It's a plug-and-play situation where you can start reaping benefits almost as soon as you invest. But there's more to developed land than just convenience. It's predictability that sets it apart. With raw land, the returns on your investment can be a wild card. You're banking on potential, on what the land could become. With developed land, you've got a clearer picture. You've got a foundation to build on, and a reasonable expectation of what your returns could look like. Let's say you decide to invest in a piece of commercial developed land. You can lease it to businesses, earning a steady stream of rental income. Or you can sell it off when property prices rise, making a tidy profit. The point is, you have options, and you have a good idea of what those options could yield. Of course, developed land comes with a higher initial investment than raw land. But remember, you're paying for stability, for immediate usability, and for predictability. It's like choosing between a lottery ticket and a savings account. One might offer the chance of a windfall, but the other guarantees a steady, reliable return. Developed land may not promise the thrill of a gold rush, but it offers a solid and dependable investment. Before you dive headfirst into land investment, there are a few key points you must research. Let's start with the basics. The ground beneath your feet, quite literally, is the soil. A soil test is your first step in understanding the quality of the land you're considering. It can tell you about the composition and nutrient content, which are critical if you're thinking of agricultural use or even building structures. Next up is the concept of easements. Easements are the rights that someone else may have on the property you're eyeing. It could be for access, utilities, or even conservation. You certainly don't want to be caught off guard with a public footpath running through your dream property. Now let's talk about clear titles. This means the land is free of any legal disputes, liens, or debts. If the title isn't clear, you might find yourself entangled in a web of legal battles. Always remember, a clear title is as important as the land itself. Moving on, we have the perk test, short for percolation test. This is to see how quickly water drains through the soil. This is crucial if you're planning to construct anything that requires a septic system. A failed perk test could mean your land is unfit for building. Coming to zoning regulations, these are rules set by local authorities that dictate how a piece of land can be used. Whether you can build a commercial property, a residential house, or use the land for farming is determined by these regulations. Ensure that the land you're considering is zoned for your intended use. And lastly, we come to the issue of landlocked properties. These are plots of land that do not have direct access to a public road. They can only be reached by crossing another property. If you're considering such a plot, ensure you have a legal right-of-way, or you might find yourself stranded in a sea of land. So there you have it. These are just a few of the key points to research before you invest in land. There may be other factors that come into play based on the specific plot of land you're considering, like local climate, flood risk, or even the possibility of endangered species calling your land home. Land investment can be a rewarding venture, but like any investment, it comes with its own set of challenges and risks. However, with thorough research and due diligence, you can mitigate these risks and make a sound investment. Knowledge is power in the world of land investment. So, do your homework, make informed decisions, and remember, the land isn't going anywhere. It's the one thing they're not making any more of.